the moment, although they're far from pretty, our putative web pages are also far from style-free. They have the default styles applied to the HTML tags by browsers, underlining and blue text for the links, various font sizes and bold text for the different heading levels, and bullets and indentation for the unordered lists. This is a nuisance because none of these look anything like what we want, and they may even appear slightly different in different browsers, causing us problems later. So we're going to start out our styling by applying a CSS reset. This will remove all these default styles and reduce everything to just about plain text, allowing us to start off with a clean slate. You need to go to the working files and find chapter 5, and then in 0502 CSS reset, find reset.css and copy it, and then go to htdocs favorite movies and make a new folder called CSS, and inside CSS paste in that file that you copied, reset.css. We won't type it all in as it's not particularly interesting, but we will open it up in KomodoEdit and have a brief look at it. Now open up index.html in KomodoEdit, and just below the meta tag and just above the title tag we need to enter a link to reset.css. This begins as always with an opening angle bracket, and it's going to start out with link. And then href, as we've used before, for an anchor for a link to another file. And this is going to be a relative path because the file is in the subfolder called CSS, so the path is going to be css/reset.css. And then we need to tell the file the relationship of this new file to the current one, using rel equals, and then in quotes again, it's a style sheet. Close off, and that's the end of that, and it's another self-closing tag. If you've worked in the field before and used earlier versions of HTML, then you may be used to specifying here the type of document using type equals text/CSS. This isn't necessary in HTML5, which cuts out some of these unnecessary bits of verbiage. So we can save ourselves some typing and reduce clutter in the markup. Save index.html and refresh it in your browser, and you should see that it now really is style-free, except for the underlining and the blue for the links. Select and copy that line and paste it in the same place in the other two HTML files, moviesingle.html and admin.html, and save both of those. Just preview them all in Firefox just to verify that it's worked, and they are all very plain. Open up reset.css now in KomodoEdit, and we'll have a look and see what it contains. It starts out with a very useful CSS declaration, box sizing border box, and we need vendor prefixes, WebKit and Mozilla for this to work properly. And this means that calculations of box sizes are not going to take into account things like padding and margins. We're going to come to this later. It just makes it much easier to work out the sizes of the various elements in the layout. And then for the rest of the file, you'll see that it's a series of HTML tags for the selectors, exactly the same tags that we've used in the documents, and each one is doing things like applying. Here it's applying color black for the foreground, color white for the background, margin 0, padding 0, border collapse, stops table borders appearing more than once when they come next to each other, reducing the borders, no border on images, font style normal, list style none, etc. So basically it's removing all of those default styles. We're now ready to move on to creating our own styles with any potential problems removed right at the start.